Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to game number 5 in this 5-game show match between kauP and Szalami. We're playing custom slash new maps on the PuP build, and we will have Valley Battle as our last game. Up north is going to be Szalami playing as the French in red, and down south we're going to have the Abbasid Dynasty for kauP in blue. So we have seen some remodeled original built-in maps like King of the Hill, for example, or Mega Random, that's brand new from the devs. We have seen some custom made maps by the community talk about Arena or Four Lakes. And now we have a game, or we have a map, which is a custom made map by the devs to showcase sort of how the map making tools or map making random map scripting tools can be utilized. So this is basically a sample map that is given out for map scripters to study and see how they can utilize that to create their own custom maps. But it's built into the game now as one of those crafted maps, and it actually looks fairly functional and playable. So we'll take a look at it. As you see, up north is Szalami playing as the Red French, and as I said, down south it is going to be kauP playing as the Blue Abbasids. So the map looks somewhat similar to Mongolian Heights. You do have a river in the middle, but you have two bridges, one on each side, one central area with the crossing, and you have one pond in each corner with two deep fishes. You also have a lot more cliffs, so the players are sort of spawning in this fairly vulnerable area. And as I said, this in many ways was basically a map that was utilized by the devs to show what the map making or map scripting tools are capable of, and sort of show one or two samples for the community. And you can see that this map had its ancestors being a map like Mongolian Heights, for example, with the river in the middle, but the cliff spawns were altered, so you have a lot more cliffs. It is actually very reminiscent of Hill and Dale with these cliff spawns, and the ponds in the corner, they share some similarities with Nagari, for example. So on this map, the first thing I'm noticing is that you will probably get away with a pretty defensive gameplay. Because you can wall yourself up, and it's probably even less important to contest the map than in the case of Hill and Dale. The other thing that you need to consider is that you don't have a ton of gold to work with, though. So if you look at the gold spawns, by the way, the map is completely symmetrical. This is one of those maps where it's not a random map script, it's actually a prefixed map. Because we have a bit of a slowish Dark Age, I'm going to explain the differences. So in the near future for Age of Empires 4, there will be two options to make maps. A, random map scripts. Random map scripts are basically what you see in the game right now. A script is able to generate millions of different combinations of resource spawns that do share similarities. So, for example, there are preset criteria like Boulder Bay always having to spawn a bay, having to spawn two sacred sites, and so on. So those are the random map scripts. We have seen instances of that. For example, the Four Lakes game that we have played in game number 2, that was a random map, and King of the Hill that we have played was also an RM, and even Mega Random was. But the other option is something that could be very appealing for people coming from different communities, like for example StarCraft, because this was one of the main complaints of many RTS or many other RTS communities when they tried AoE 4, that they just felt weird playing random maps. Because in many RTS titles, the maps are prefixed. All the resources are always at the same place, and you can just learn the maps, just like you can learn a map in a shooter game, for example. Szalami did not finish the School of Cavalry here. Now, you can do that now in Age of Empires 4 as well. So you can make preset maps that are not random map scripts, which means that they always spawn the same way, basically like a scenario in Age of Empires 2. And this is one of those. So as you see, the map is completely symmetrical. You do have the cliff with the big gold on the right side, mirrored on the left side. Relics, identical spawn. Fish spawns, identical. Resource spawns for the players are also identical. Gold and stone in the front. So we'll have to see if this is the future of Age of Empires 4 or not, where you have completely fixed maps. This has its pros and cons. Pros include the fact that, this way, it's always a very balanced game and nothing depends on how your map spawns. The cons is that the scouting element of the game is completely removed, right? Because you know exactly where all the key resources are. So it's going to be interesting to take a look at that. I'm curious to see your opinion. So if you have any opinion on whether or not you think random map scripts or prefixed or pre-designed maps should be utilized in future tournaments, I'm more than happy to hear your thoughts about that one in the comments. With this being said, Szalami's got some units roaming the map over here. There's one knight coming over, two scouts across. Meanwhile, for kauP, He is currently on 1 town center mining stone, so it's going to be a 2 town center build. It takes a ton of time for those knights to arrive, but when they do, you could be in trouble. So kauP, he might be a little overly ambitious on this map, because he's basically saying, okay, whatever, I don't care about you attacking me at this point, because I'm just so far away that by the time you get over here, it's gonna be too late. But the reality is that the first knight coming in here could do a ton of damage to kauP. He's gonna have just enough stone to drop a second town center. Now, the reason why you see so much fog is because we're at a very high altitude in the game. So the higher the cliffs, the more fog you're going to see. As you see, if I go all the way up here, everything down there is blurry. If I go down to lowlands, there is a minimal amount of fog. So that's one of the things to consider. Here comes the first knight, and kauP has absolutely no response to that. Knight charges in, will swing his sword and take down one villager. Nice start for him, as kauP is dropping TC number 2 right next to the first one. Fresh foodstuffs is also coming in for him as an upgrade. Barracks now being dropped. He went up with the eco wing, of course. No surprise about that one. The bigger question will be what's going to be his second wing, because it's either going to be culture wing or military wing, but both of those you can justify. Now, we have to mention that given the fact that right now Szalami has all the map control, he can utilize that to great effect. So he can take this hunt without any problems. He could even move out to this lowland area, take some hunt. Looks like this lower area has less huntables out here. It's only spawned with 3 deer. Yeah, there is a patch of huntables with only 3 deer. That's quite small. Knight once again charges in, fails to take down the villager, but it damaged it. Looks like the knight is gonna get away, but it's gonna be tight. Town center gets another volley out. The knight gets away with 3 HP, so Szalami will be able to heal it back up. Indeed, Chivalry is coming in as an upgrade. Now, is this map good? I don't think so. Like, compared to Four Lakes, compared to Arena, I don't think this map is so spectacular as the knight comes in. Simply because I think it's a little too defensive, little too large for 1v1. But the reason why I wanted to show this in this show match is because this way you're able to see these sort of newly added maps by the devs. And I don't want to be mean here, but you can also see something different. Talk about King of the Hill in the previous game, talk about this map. This map was basically a showcase of what you can do with a map editor when it comes to making pre-made maps. Arena was also a pre-made map, and Four Lakes was a community-made random map. Or random map script to be precise. And you get the feel that I think Arena and Four Lakes were just a lot more entertaining than so far King of the Hill was, but maybe, just maybe, this game is going to deliver something interesting for us. Still, as I said, the entire concept of this show match is more like to showcase these maps and show some high-level gameplay on it. With that being said, Szalami is also mining some stone on the right side of his base. For the time being, he's grabbing wheelbarrows, so both of the players are playing a very defensive gameplay, very eco-focused gameplay. I think one of the things that could make this map a little more aggressive is, first of all, smaller size. This dale area over here is just way too big. It takes too much time for the cavalry to arrive to the enemy base, let alone infantry. The second thing I could think about is that you need to give some sort of incentive for the players to leave their hills. That could be hunt on the lower area, like if you didn't have any hunt over here, if you didn't have a ton of berries, for example, it would motivate players to expand towards the middle a little bit more. Anyways, for now, it is just big booming fast, so at least this is a entertaining map for those people that love to just sit back and see SimCity going on in Age of Empires 4. Spearmen are now out for kauP. He's pushing away that first knight. There's also a scout over here overlooking the base of kauP. kauP is able to get some hits on that knight from Szalami. Now gets a couple of hits on the scout, but he fails to finish off either of those. And since you have Chivalry, the knight is gonna get healed up. And of course, the scout is gonna get healed up because, well, it's a scout. So why not? And oh, the knight is coming in. You could get that villager killed because that's a low HP vill. Indeed, the lance is going to take down one villager out here. A second villager could fall victim to that knight, but it's gonna get back to the town center. Now the knight disengages. kauP is currently sitting at 36 villagers as opposed to Szalami currently being at 35. So basically, kauP has a non-existent villager lead. In the meantime, it looks like we're gonna have a dock coming up here for Szalami. So he wants to get some fishing eco going. You gotta wonder if it's worth investing into a dock here though, because there's only 2 droplets of deep fish. One thing that Szalami could do, by the way, given the fact that his opponent is not contesting map control, is stonewall him in. If you wall here, especially seeing how kauP is walling his base, you could wall here, you could wall here, and you could wall here, and you could just wall your opponent in, and then just grab the sacred sites, force your opponent to make a move or something like that. Looks like a new town center is being built in the middle by Szalami. He's going for all that hunt out there. It's only 5 deer. Meanwhile, on the left side, we do have an interesting formation of deer here. The triple-headed dragon, I've heard about that, but triple-headed deer, I have not. If the deer spawn right on top of each other, they can't move away. That's a thing. So these deer will never be able to move separately until one of them gets killed. Actually, you need to kill 2 of them because the 3 are stuck together. But they look cute. Meanwhile, what do we have over here? The villagers were intercepted by the spearman. And guess what? The villagers are fighting back. It's only a couple of spearmen. The scout goes down from kauP. And that also means that he's going to lose control over those sheep. Spearmen are now coming in larger and larger numbers, though. Those spearmen came all the way through the map. And I don't think that Szalami was expecting that at all. He wanted to drop a town center here in the middle. And he's now surprised to see so many spearmen coming out. Suddenly, kauP's spearmen, not large in numbers, they will inflict quite a lot of damage on the opponent. And now Szalami gets the walls up, scrambles for a gate. He actually gets away with what seems to be just 2 or 3 dead bodies, which seem to be pretty decent given the circumstances. He's going to wall off this side, but the way into his base is wide open, and you gotta wonder how much damage kauP is gonna be able to do here. So, 42 villagers right now for Szalami, 49 for kauP, and there is gonna be a new town center being built right next to this hunt over here on the shoreline. There's a ton of hunt on this map, I'm just now noticing. kauP going for his own berries as he's going up with the Culture Wing, and that's TC number 3 for him. Talk about a big boomer. Second town center coming up just now for Szalami. kauP currently at 51 villagers as opposed to his opponent having 45. The bridges are also much more difficult to wall than these crossings. That's one of the things with the bridges. You can wall this crossing in the river, but you can't really wall bridges like that. That's going to make things a little more interesting. Now, Szalami's got some fishing eco on the left side, and that's going to help quite a lot with the food eco. But sustainability is a big question because, as you see, there's only a couple of droplets of shorefish to consume after the deep fish was depleted. Of course, deep fish respawns well, not immediately, but over time. So, it's something that you can utilize for a long time. But obviously, having just 2 droplets of deep fish isn't going to maintain 20 plus fishing ships, that's for sure. So, you probably should stop at like 8 or so, because you won't be able to use more than that consistently anyways. Spearman trying to get through the river here, through the bridge, but you do have the town center stopping them from crossing. And dock was attempted on the right side by Szalami, but that never really materialized as he's going up with the guild hall for the time being. Castle Age is already in for kauP in a matter of seconds. As you see, he is reaching castle in this very moment. He's at 3 town centers, and now we're seeing some camel archers hit the field. Spearman getting repelled by the town center fire, so only 1 spearman remains for kauP. Some more spears are coming in. Where are these guys coming from? I never see them crossing the map, but it seems like they're trickling in consistently. And now there is going to be a villager being pulled. I wonder if he will try to get a siege workshop up as well, because he tried to get a tower up, but I assume the wolf killed the villager. Meanwhile, on the right side, Szalami is running out with the build, trying to get that dock up, but that should not be a thing here. The spearmen are chasing him, and he's gonna have no chance at going there. I think kauP now knows that his opponent wanted to dock this one, tries to get a wall up here, tries to wall off the corner, but with the camel archer coming in, that's not going to be possible. He's circling around. Look at that. He's circling around. Nope. The idea is that he circles around, gets the foundations going, and he locks those spearmen on the outside. Yeah. He's circling around, and then he goes back in the middle. Nope. He's just giving up on this. Szalami is just giving up on this, but he's going to lose the villager. With that being said, we do have a kauP also walling off this crossing over here with a V-shaped wall. There is a wall in the middle that's coming up that's also belonging to kauP. That's a stone wall. And now he's going to have an outpost in this area. He's going to utilize this position as a staging ground. 74 villagers right now for him, growing for man-at-arms crossbowmen. On the other side, 65 for Szalami. Szalami's got 2 town centers with the French boost, as compared to 3 town centers with the Abbasid boost. And that's quite a lot of villagers coming in. Traders. Interesting. Now, it is the Culture Wing that kauP went to Castle Age with, so he's not going to get the upgrades that are available on the Trade Wing right now, but that's the reason why he's moving all the way out here. And this map is large, as I said, much larger than you would anticipate a 1v1 map to be. Which is not necessarily a problem. I think it's a little too large, but it once again depends on what perspective you're looking at this map from. But one thing that the large map will give you is long travel distances between markets, and long travel distances mean a lot of resources from trade. 169 per trip for kauP. That's a very clever way of trading here. And given the fact that he's going to have that walled off, his resource income is going to skyrocket. Szalami, on the other hand, he's got 3,000 food in the bank, quite a lot of gold as well. I think he wants a red palace. Is he going to try and get a red palace? Transport ship. The transport ship. Imagine transporting the villagers through and then dropping the red palace. I think that's what Szalami is going for. I think Szalami wants to drop the red palace on the other side because he still hasn't dropped his landmark. He wants to get transport. He's dropping it over. He's dropping it over. He's going. He is going. I wonder if he sees the trade over there. I think he's suspecting that trade might be involved here for the Abbasid player. That's no less than 43 villagers. Hang on. Could this be a red palace drop straight in the face of the opponent? Or what's the plan? I don't think that this was scouted from kauP just yet, but this could be a disaster. His trade is going on over here. Nothing to spot just yet. kauP now sees the villagers. It's only 2 vills though. So it doesn't see the full group. This is actually a diversion by Szalami, I think. It has got to be a diversion. He's distracting the opponent while the main force is marching up. The crossbows yet to see them. Now they spot the main group. And it's gonna be a crazy red palace drop, I feel like, by Szalami. Here it goes. Here goes the red palace. Can he get it up with 40 plus villagers? So many men-at-arms, so many knights around here, and reinforcing this battlefield is gonna be easy as well for kauP. He's trying to block a potential foundation here, but the foundation does get placed, and that is so many villagers building this that you can get that red palace up in just the blink of an eye, and suddenly a game that seemed to be very boring is going to be made crazy here by Szalami. He's rushing that red palace up, and there's just not enough firepower here for kauP to deal with this. Szalami's got the textiles upgrade, so it takes a lot of time to take down those villagers. And that red palace in the face of the opponent is going to be an absolute brutality. It's going to destroy all the army here. It's going to destroy the trade. And now suddenly, Szalami is just wiping out everything. Look at that. Trade cards going down left and right. This is one way to stop that trade. The entire army is going down. And now you're going to see some potential trebuchets being added. Some springles to snipe down the opponent's siege or bombards. But I think at this point, Szalami is just going to start crawling up with castles in the face of the opponent. What a move. The diversion to use to just make sure that kauP isn't able to see that group of villagers moving forward as long as possible. kauP felt safe behind stone walls, but boy oh boy was he wrong. Because the villagers cross the river with a transport ship, and then suddenly they appear on the other side, and now kauP is in trouble. Looking at kauP, he's still in Castle Age, and I wonder if he's going Imperial. He's got the resources for it in a second, so I would expect him. And did he destroy the markets? Yes, he did. kauP destroyed the markets, and now he's resetting them over here, because if the markets are in this corner, the traders will run into the fire of the Red Palace. So he's resetting the markets over here, which will be a shorter travel distance, but at least the traders will survive. Ambitious Tower attempted here by Szalami, but that's gonna be a big no-no. So at least the trade remains intact for kauP. But now a different problem arises, especially with towers being crept upon him. If we're seeing some bombards come in, for Szalami, I think he should start with bombards instead of trebs, because bombards will do a lot more damage to buildings here. Trebs work, but I think you could just chew yourself through these buildings very fast, and then go for the House of Wisdom and go for a landmark snipe. Now what is kauP going to do with this? kauP is on the way to Imperial, if I'm not mistaken, or is he? He's not on the way to Imp, but he's at 150 population. If he starts losing houses, that could be concerning as well. Looking at the resources, Szalami's even getting some stone walls up here, making sure that he can't be surrounded from the other side, and it's all about fighting that Red Palace for the enemy. Now, could we see a transport ship attempted over here? Or just march through the gates? That's also an option. Because Szalami doesn't have a ton of defense back at home. In fact, he's got absolutely nothing. Not a single piece of wall. And if you just make a gate or just delete the walls here, you can cross and head straight into Szalami's eco. Szalami's getting some more stone walls up. He's creeping up with the walls. And how is the opponent going to stop this? Trebuchets are shelling the starting town center, and Szalami is grabbing trebuchet after trebuchet. Geometry, an upgrade that was moved to the siege workshop, now will allow those trebuchets to have 30% more damage. Very important upgrade for Szalami. Gate is being made in the middle, so kauP is not done yet. But here's the deal. Can kauP landmark snipe Szalami? He cannot. Because there is the town center, there is the school of carry, there's the guild hall. But in order for kauP to be able to defeat his opponent with the landmark victory, he needs to get rid of the Red Palace. And that's just a distant dream right now. Or is it? Or is it a distant dream? I see rocks flying over, and there is 3 trebuchets shelling the Red Palace right now. Szalami is gonna have to start repairing. He doesn't have a springboard to fire back upon that volley of trebuchets. On the right side, the army of kauP is still being assembled. What a cheeky game this turned out to be. Looks like a gate is now being built. I just wonder if Szalami will try to send villagers to deal with that. Nothing is protecting those trebs. You send in 15 vills, the trebs will go down, and kauP is noticing that. kauP is massing an army back at home, though. He's gonna have men-at-arms, he's gonna have crossbows to protect those trebs with. Trebuchets still shelling the starting town center of kauP here, and kauP soon will face a different problem. Lack of wood. He's gonna have no wood inside his base. He's able to chop trees on the outside, technically, but a bunch of his villagers are sort of stranded inside his base. Villagers being pulled right now by Szalami to take down the trebuchets. As he sees the enemy army coming in, he's going to fall back. We will have the springboards come out, trying to snap those trebuchets, buy some time, and as those villagers get close to that Red Palace, soon things will be ugly. You see, the Red Palace's radius is almost reaching those vills. Starting town center now done, and with that, Szalami, having 5 trebuchets, he can start taking down the additional town centers, or even worse for kauP, head straight towards that landmark, the House of Wisdom. Trade wing coming in as the last wing here for kauP, which means that he's going to be able to grab the Spice Roads upgrade, which was moved from Feudal Age to Imperial Age, and flip the Grand Bazaar. Now with the Red Palace opening fire on the villagers, these villagers will have to fall all the way back here. 1 town center went down, that was an extra TC that cannot be repaired. The starting town center is being repaired right now as we speak. Meanwhile, do we have any kind of crossing attempt here by kauP? Seems like a no. Where is his army at? I lost track of kauP's army. Hang on. Quite a lot of forces are back at home here, and it looks like the walls were broken through, so kauP is thinking about pushing this, but pushing against the Red Palace is insanely difficult. Because the firepower it has is brutal, it's just able to wipe out so many forces. New stone was once again being made, and we still have springboards over here for Szalami to potentially snap down siege weapons. He's grabbing roller shutters right now to try and fire back upon those trebuchets. He might be able to find an angle hill from the hilltop. That's the thing here. The players, or at least the attacker right now, has a hilltop, which means that you technically have line of sight, or at least you could have line of sight on those trebuchets. Starting town center is still down here, and now this might be a chop-through attempt here from Szalami, potentially, or his villagers are just freaking out. Trebuchet versus trebuchet over here. Oh, no! No! Okay, that's a problem. So we have a game crash that says bad data mod. I wonder what exactly happened. This will be a very anticlimactic end to this game. So hang on while we figure out what's going on. Sag. Alright, I'll be back in a second. Let's hope that we can catch up. Might have been something cheesy. I really hope it's not a consistent error though, because I really want to see how this game unfolds. Alright, fingers crossed that this works this time. Looks like we're back on track. I'm still hoping that the game isn't going to crash upon me once again. I'm a little scared, but let's hope that there is going to be no crazy crashes going on. I had to restart my game a couple of times and adjust a couple of things. As I said before, this is still a beta version of the branch that's coming out, and it's also heavily modded if you think about that. So, yeah, there could be crashes. Looks like we're still intact, so I'm holding my hopes up high here. Let's hope it doesn't crash up on us again. I'm still keeping my breath held back. Town center for the time being is gone for kauP, and I think this was the time where it crashed for me last time, so seems like we're back on track. Okay. I will be careful not to click on anything, because one of the things that I've spotted when the crashes happened is that I started clicking on buildings to see the upgrades happening, and I'm a little scared that it's going to crash the game once again. I'm fairly certain this comes from the fact, or at least partially comes from the fact that, as I said, I do have some mods in, including these map mods, so it's possible that that's going to destabilize the game, but there is a reason why this is still a test branch, right? Anyways, up north you have Szalami chopping through the wood line here. This is going to open up a possibility for him to push into the base of the opponent with a couple of towers. On the right side, the trade is still going on for kauP. Holy potatoes, what was that? Did you see that? Well, test version, that's all I gotta say about this one. Looking at the trebuchets, the numbers still seem to be fairly decent here for Szalami. He's bringing in some more villagers. I wonder if he wants to drop a castle in the middle of the opponent's base, because right now he managed to destroy the starting town center of the opponent, but he's yet to destroy the House of Wisdom. Imperial Age is in for kauP, and he's grabbing all the eco upgrades for the trade. As you see, Grand Bazaar and Spice Roads are now coming out from the trade wing. Trebuchets are still standing strong, and it looks like Szalami isn't going to commit to this push now that he sees all the crossbows in the opponent's base. In the central areas of the map, it's relatively peaceful. kauP has basically relocated his entire economy to that side of the map, whereas Szalami is still pushing the opponent's base here quite relentlessly. Not exactly sure. Oh, there is a Culverin coming out. That's a little dangerous for Szalami, and now there is an opening on his walls. The men-at-arms and the crossbows are flooding in, ready to jump on those trebuchets. This is the moment that kauP has been waiting for. He's got a Culverin as well to take down those siege weapons with. He wanted to take down this forward, and that's exactly what he's going for. He is sniping one trebuchet. There is one Springald up hills as well that's shooting at the Culverin. The Culverin gets taken down by the Springald, but the Springald also falls to the man-at-arms. Red Palace is going to decimate units nearby though, so you gotta be really careful here if you are kauP, because you see, as you go under that castle, your units are getting torn to shreds. Now, the Red Palace is still under fire by what seems to be 5-6 trebuchets. There is 5 trebuchets indeed shelling it, so it's going to get taken down rather easily. Now, villagers popping out to repair this one, but there is nowhere to go for the trebuchets, nowhere to go for the man-at-arms, and the next volley is going to be the one that destroys the Red Palace here. Szalami is trying to keep this up as long as possible, and you see the amount of dead bodies under the building is huge. The Red Palace has an insane firepower, but once you got 6 trebuchets, you can take it down. Szalami is still trying to repair this one. Mangal also pops out for him. It's going to be immediately fired upon by all of those crossbowmen. So this forward, it seems like it's going to get cleaned up by kauP. And with that, it's going to go back to like a 50-50 map control. We got some hawks on the water for Szalami, so he's trying to push away the opponent from that gold mine. But with towers already up for our blue player kauP, he's getting some weapon emplacements on those Springolds to be precise. So he's going to start sinking those combat ships, and there is no Carrack whatsoever for Szalami to destroy those towers with. Ultimately, we're at 180 population for kauP. Szalami is at 92 only, so this was basically what Szalami had. He realized that his opponent is going for a trade boom that he won't be able to stop. He tried the Red Palace drop, but it almost feels like a GG at this point, because Szalami, while he does have 2 town centers, his eco is an absolute train wreck right now. And you see, he hasn't managed to wall off any of those crossings. Whoa. 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 I mean, this black hole anomaly is coming from that hawk. We can safely say that. So I'm hoping that by destroying that hawk, we'll have this black hole disappear. And that's a Gallius, by the way. We can't really see that from all the messed up graphics. I think it could be fog related, by the way. Okay. It's still originating from this location. But there's a Gallius. Okay, there we go. Look at that big boy. A unit that you will probably never see in competitive gameplay because it's not really effective. As you see, it's going to be sunk by a tower. Looks like this final game has its issues, I would say. If I wanted to be mean, I would say that this map was added to the game by the developers, so I'm not so surprised we have issues. We had no issues on Arena or Four Lakes, so... Well, that's 1-0 for the community, I guess. Anyways, let's not be mean. Let's just acknowledge the fact that this is still a beta version, but holy potatoes, yeah, the shadows. Something is wrong with the shadows. It's getting worse. I wonder if this was the thing that crashed my game. Okay. Let's try to focus on what's actually happening over here. We got a castle coming in. Yeah, it seems like, I don't know, the UFOs or aliens or whatever are just invading Earth right now. They even have their own shadows on the ground. Something is wrong with the shadows, I'm fairly certain here. This could be a thing for any game, by the way, so let's be honest. I've seen shooter games have similar issues. In fact, I've seen worse, but... Okay, let's focus on the game once again. So, Szalami is stuck at 97 population. On the other side, kauP is sitting at 185. The Red Palace has been cleaned up. kauP has a very good trade eco going for him. So, despite the fact that the trade was going to this position for a long time, it was still something that he could sustain, something that he was able to get a decent amount of gold income from, probably in the 180s when it comes to the gold income range. Now with all the upgrades and having pretty much corner-to-corner trade, he's going to have 243 gold and 46 food per trip. Getting the upgrade to get some secondary resource with those traders is definitely going to be something that boosts his food eco as well. And in terms of army, holy potatoes, that's a lot of army coming through here. I need to be careful which direction I go. I would appreciate if kauP chose a different direction to attack, so I don't even have to interfere with these alien activities here. Looks like we're going straight into this black hole here for kauP's army. This doesn't seem to... This doesn't seem to concern anyone here, aside from me. It's actually possible it's on my end. Like, it's possible shadows are messed up in my client. If I maybe restarted my game, it would be fixed. But, well, given the fact that the game crashed twice before, I'm not going to restart it. I'm just going to live with this one and hope that we don't have to look at battles over there. A new dock was milled by Szalami, and look at that, that's transport ships. He wants to transport stuff around once again. I think he wanted to get that Red Palace back in track, but that's not going to happen. I think the farmers spotted this dock, and men-at-arms were sent over here, crossbows were sent over here, the transport ship isn't going to happen. And over here we have what seems to be barracks and town centers being destroyed by the forces of kauP. He's about to cross the river in a matter of seconds. Szalami is in a tough spot. It's 2-2 when it comes to the crazy slash custom-made slash newly added maps Showmatch. And it very much seems like kauP is going to secure that final win for himself, because he's got the opposite trade boom, and that's going to be insanely difficult to stop. You see, this amount of resource income per minute, we're talking about 3,000 gold per minute and 2,000 food. And if you look at the food income for kauP, he's got 20 villagers on food. So most of that food income that kauP has isn't even coming from the food wheels. Cost on the left side coming in for Szalami. He wants to capture the sacred site, although even if he caps that, it's not going to help that much, because it's just 100 gold per minute, that's it. Looks like the army of kauP is going to find the villagers building the castle here. All the villagers from Szalami are scrambled to build it. He's gonna get it up. The question is how many villagers will fall doing that. It looks like not much, because kauP wasn't really paying attention here, so by the time he turns his attention towards this castle, the villagers will be able to finish it. The castle does not have burning oil though, so the men-at-arms can, at least for time being, afford to stay underneath. And this is something that kauP is doing. Szalami is just running circles around the castle trying to buy himself some time. But the crossbows are pursuing, the men-at-arms are pursuing. And with that, Szalami is dropping to 85 villagers. He's once again scrambling for defense. On the other side, the men-at-arms are casually being shot by trebuchets. They don't seem to care about that one at all. Alien activity is still a thing here on this side of the map, so let's focus on the other side. Castle still standing strong here. You got some fishing ships here for Szalami, but those are idle. They're not gathering from deep fish. They probably ran out of shorefish, went idle, and then Szalami never really retasked them on the deep fish. So that's part of the reason why they're still idle. We're getting more and more interesting alien formations over here in the middle, as I give you an update on that. On the right side, we have some other alien formations. But the sacred site is being captured by kauP. Men-at-arms, crossbows now pushing into Szalami's base. Szalami now at 79 villagers. I'm not gonna lie, it's a bit of an anticlimactic end to this set, because I honestly was hoping for a great battle in the end here as well. Was probably the worst of the 5 games we have played, although game number 4 was also a contender. But regardless of that, I think especially the first 3 games on the custom-made maps showed how much potential there could be in just custom map making in AoE4. Here comes a push from the men-at-arms of Szalami. He's trying to push those trebuchets. Some mangonels are also in the mix here. They're quite small compared to the trebuchets, so they're hard to spot. But those are also opening fire on those men-at-arms. Looks like the numbers here are not spectacular for kauP. He's going to lose some siege weapons. In fact, he's going to lose quite a lot of siege weapons here to the infantry of Szalami. Slowly but surely, all of those infantry units are now getting cleaned up though from our red player. And of course, looking at those resource banks, kauP can easily afford to rebuild his army. Truth being told, Szalami can do the exact same thing. 2,500 food, 1.8k gold as well for him. But his opponent has a way larger resource bank. Szalami has 3,000 stone as well. What is he even doing with that much stone? In the meantime, looks like the forces, at least the vanguard of kauP's army, is reaching the base of the opponent. In fact, there are a couple of men-at-arms here killing villagers inside already. Szalami was trying to get a castle up here, but he's going to start losing villas left and right to this one. Szalami is down to 74 villagers, losing more and more. And up north, his base is going to be wide open. I think it's just a matter of time now with the hand cannoneers, the mangonels, trebuchets about to swarm the base of Szalami, and he's going to lose all the villagers building that castle. That's not even going up. Szalami's got some men-at-arms still assembled on the left side, but he's gonna have no shot. Like, there's no way he's going to get the transport through. There is towers coming in with cannon or splitting golden placements on them, so kauP is just going to sink that transport the moment those units try to cross. Indeed, as you see, Springgold is already opening fire, and with that, the transport is gone. Szalami tried that. You can tell that Szalami tried to transport stuff through, but kauP was prepared for that. kauP is prepared for that cheese. He knows very well that this is what Szalami wants to do. Send in all the whales, snipe the enemy landmarks. But that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen at all. In fact, look at this. kauP is stonewalling this side. He knows very well that the opponent's only chance is to snipe the landmarks. New Dog being scrambled up by Szalami, and kauP has to respect that because that's a lot of stuff coming his way. He's about to snipe all the landmarks though. Castle once again being built by Szalami. That's his last hurrah here. He's down to 61 villagers. There's the transport ship queued up. Villagers once again under attack by the men-at-arms. The castle goes up, but there's already trebuchets out here. School of Cavalry under fire. On the other side, it looks like the villagers are ready to cross. There's a couple of towers out here, but those don't have any emplacements on them, so they can't sink the ships at all. And you see, now the walls are up, so it's going to be difficult, if not impossible, for Szalami to get into the opponent's base. First batch of villagers now out. Second batch of villagers coming in as well. Szalami is sitting on 5,000 stone, so he can spam castles everywhere. But if he can't stop this push, or he can't repair the Red Palace, he's gonna be out. I think he's making a run for Red Palace. Because if he can repair the Red Palace in time, it doesn't matter that he loses the School of Cavalry, the starting town center, and the guild hall. Speaking of which, School of Cavalry is gone, starting town center now under fire, and the guild hall is all the way at the back over here. Szalami's chances are still non-existent though, because kauP was expecting this. kauP was expecting this, but the stone walls being placed by Szalami will prevent the camels and the camel archers from picking off all the villagers sent for the repairs. Szalami will get a shot at repairing that one Red Palace that he has out there. He's at 76 population. Does he realistically have a chance? I don't think so, but he's making a run for this one. I don't think that he can snipe those landmarks. Like, seriously, he might not even be able to get this building up here. Looks like, oh, he's making a gate on the left side. He's flanking around with those villagers. He ran past all those camel archers that were sent to intercept him. And now, by making a gate, he's gonna be able to send in some more villagers to repair the Red Palace. Red Palace still not finished though, and all of those villagers underneath it are getting picked off. Starting town center now on fire, and I think Szalami's chances are now gone. What a game. I think this definitely was one of the weaker ones of this 5-game set, but in case you missed any of those, I highly recommend watching, especially game number 1 and 2 and 3, because those were spectacular. And with probably the closing moments of this game coming in, I really just want to say that I think that map creation and custom maps is going to have a massive impact, massive positive impact on Age of Empires 4. Because as we have seen today, even though not all of the games were spectacular, some games were really good, and that is just the tip of the iceberg that we are seeing. Some of the maps that you see, or what you saw in this 5-game show match, were made in 2 days by community members. Imagine what could be done if these maps were made for weeks, months, and as a tournament organizer myself, and I'm really hoping that in the foreseeable future, we'll have an opportunity of hosting tournaments with custom-made maps, something that is going to deliver a completely different gameplay experience than ever before. With that being said, kauP is going to take the final game here, and hopefully you have enjoyed this little show match. If you did, I'm more than happy to put together some more here with some other high-level players, potentially some pros as well. Most of the pros were still probably traveling from N4C when this was recorded, so I would say that, well, I know for a fact that the reason why I wasn't able to get some pro players like, let's say, Mista or Beastie or Marine Lord or so to play these yet is because they are still somewhat unavailable. But if we have a window for that, I'm more than happy to put together a matchup like that. I'm curious, I'm really curious how the pro players would play some of these maps. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you've enjoyed. Stay tuned and take care. See you next time.